pack a bag and follow the sun. Kick off your shoes and have some fun.
Hey there, thank you so much for joining me for this week's edition of Read, Watch, Listen. I am super excited about my guest today, Miss Lauren Bagwell. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I am so thrilled to have you. I met her at the Granada Theater recently when she was doing this amazing talk and just fell in love instantly, and she agreed to come and be with us today. And I'm super excited because, as you guys know, I love learning things that I have never been exposed to before, and her read is definitely that. Her watch is something I have seen before, but she's given a little bit of a new perspective, and then her listen is totally awesome too. So, do you want to tell us the title of actually, I was going to say the title of your read, but it's kind of bigger than that. So you want to just tell us a little bit about the whole thing?
Yeah. So my read is the Mistborn series, which is a trilogy by Brandon Sanderson. And it's a fantasy series with kind of taking place in a dystopian planet, kind of set in the future, and there's its own system of magic. It's very bizarre, but he does a beautiful job writing, and so it really kind of sucks you into this world in a way that makes it seem very real and very probable, even though you're talking about things that are not so probable.
Yeah, I love that you say this was kind of your introduction to science fiction in general.
Fantasy, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And he's an instructor at Brigham Young?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, cool. I love, and you said it's kind of geared towards young adults. And you said it's a trilogy, but there's another piece also?
He's written kind of a bunch of books in general with kind of the Mistborn world. And so they say things like a Mistborn novel, but some of them take place 3,000 years when none of the characters you read in the original trilogy are still there, but it referenced kind of the systems of government and kind of the hierarchy of social classes that the original books did.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So if you're involved in the series, and when you get to those, it makes more sense to you if you're already involved.
Right. You don't have to necessarily read the trilogy to understand the other ones, but it helps because you're understanding the world as a whole.
Gotcha. Love that. Love when I discover a new author and books that you want to read just because the writing is so amazing.
Oh, and he's an incredible writer. What I love is that there's some minor characters and little things that happen in the book that you kind of write off as not being a big deal, and then you get to the last chapter of the last book in the trilogy and everything just kind of ties together and your mind is kind of just blown.
Love that. Such talented storytelling to be able to do that. Very cool. So that is her recommendation for a read. And her recommendation for a watch is Big Fish, and I love Big Fish. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I loved it when I saw it. Tell me why that is your choice for a movie.
Okay, so I first saw it with one of my friends in middle school, I think. I was in 5th or 6th grade.
Of course you did.
And I just kind of saw it and thought it was really entertaining, and then my mom, when it came out on DVD, bought it, and I love that every time I watch it, I've just noticed more and more symbolism and more depth to the movie, and it's crazy how every time I watch it, kind of because it's his story of life, each time I watch it, I'm a little bit older, I've experienced something a little bit different, and so I see the movie in a totally different way, and I just love that I continue to learn from it, even though I've seen it a million times and could probably quote so much of it. It's different every time I watch it.
One of those you've almost memorized.
Yeah.
I love that. I love films that are so layered and so smart that every time you watch them, you're coming to it from a place that's different with different filters and you get different things from it. That's cool. It actually makes me want to go watch it again.
It's so
and
good.
See what I bring to it like 20 years later.
Yeah.
Big Fish, go see it. And then your recommendation for music is intriguing, and it is?
It's not just one song, so I couldn't just pick one, but it's the entire Hamilton soundtrack.
I love that. And one thing I really love about that is that you're recommending it without having seen the play.
Oh no, I haven't seen the show. It's impossible to get tickets. But my mom and dad had bought the soundtrack for one of our family friends, and it was sitting in our kitchen, and they hadn't given it to yet. And I was kind of like, Mom, I've been wanting to hear this music. Can I take it? And so I put it in my car, and it's kind of stayed in my car ever since.
I love that. You love the whole thing.
Oh, I love it.
And part of what you love about it is it is about Alexander Hamilton.
Right.
And you were saying that there's only a certain piece of his history that's usually taught to young people,
Right.
and that this gave more of a depth to his life and what he's about?
Right, so as kind of a spoken word poet and a history teacher, one of the things I'm really passionate about is one, teaching students in a way that's culturally relevant to their life. And so I love the idea that Hamilton uses. It's kind of hip hop meets Broadway meets early American Republic. And
Like
so,
something they don't mind listening to.
Right. And I also love that it kind of brings in, I'm also really passionate about alternative perspectives in the classroom. And so I love that Hamilton is kind of, Alexander Hamilton was someone that we really only talk about his financial plan, at least in the Texas 8th grade classroom. And it's really interesting to kind of see history through his eyes. I mean, he has beef with every single founding father. He has his hand in so many things, from writing the New York Post to creating our economy, essentially. And he was the first Secretary of Treasury. And so it's just really cool to see kind of history from a fresh perspective, and
Told with music.
Right, told with music, and so in a unique perspective. And then it's also really interesting because it's yesterday's history told by today's people. And so you have all different races, all different ethnicities, all different cultures, which is really representative of what America is today, telling the story of our past, which is really unique and really special. So
I hadn't thought about that. It's like the country that we've become is kind of, I think, the country they envisioned. Maybe they didn't even know what they were creating, but that is kind of what it would have, what they would have preferred. Very cool. Yes, so Hamilton soundtrack. And anybody out there has extra Hamilton tickets, you know how to find me.
I know, me too.
And her. Yeah, actually, I know how to find her. Yeah. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your choices with us.
Thanks for having me.
You are welcome, and I will see you next week.